All right, Picking Vegas and Beyond, back with another one. I wanted to talk about another video I saw where these resellers were crying about the prices at thrift stores. If you gain enough knowledge and experience and do enough research, thrift stores overpricing certain items is not going to be an issue. I think the problem is not necessarily that thrift stores are raising the prices too high. It's that a lot of resellers are just lazy and don't want to do work to actually learn different categories and different types of products that they might be able to resell. They only want to look for one type of item. And they go to the thrift store, and when they see the prices are high on whatever that item is that they want to look for, they don't want to do the work to look for other things. And that's the problem. And even with thrift stores being way overpriced, like they have been around here too, the prices have been dropping lately, at least for me, where at the thrift stores I go to. I think it's because they realized that the prices they were pricing at, no one was buying anything. Because the one particular thrift store got to the point where they had so much shit that they were having to bring the new racks out and just leave them sitting there because they had nowhere to put stuff. The shelves and the racks and everything were completely piled full as they can get them. So they were pushing the new racks and the new carts and everything out and just leaving them sitting there for people to rummage through. Because at one point, they had their prices so high that people had completely stopped buying stuff from there. Myself included, I went, I don't know how many months without buying anything there because their prices had gotten to the point where I wasn't willing to pay the prices that they were charging. And so eventually, after months of basically turning into a museum instead of a thrift store where shit was just sitting there and people weren't buying anything, they started lowering their prices again. And that would be another way to do it is if you don't like the prices at a thrift store, stop buying shit there. And I don't know. I just don't know why people would rather just whine and complain instead of just going somewhere else. And even at the overpriced thrift stores, I still have been able to find stuff. So, sorry, my phone, I just got an order update. Anyway. But yeah, even when the prices were insane, there were a bunch of times where I walked out empty-handed, but most of the time I found at least one thing. But when the prices get like that, just go somewhere else. That's the best way. And start learning new categories to look for instead of just focusing on one thing. I sell anything I can make money on, as long as I can make a certain amount of money. I'm not someone who's going to sell something if I can only sell it for $10. That's not my business model. I have no interest in selling 10,000 fucking items a month or something like that just to, make the same amount of money that I would with, way less than that. A lot of people have the wrong mindset. They have the Walmart mindset. I'm not. And that's part of the reason I have so much stuff, too, is because a lot of the stuff I haven't even sorted through because it was brought in and I never even had time to sort through it. And then it ended up getting to the point where now I have so much shit that I had to buy 2 new buildings just to put the stuff in that's already listed. That way I can get my warehouse that I have already back to where I could actually sort through the shit, and the cheap shit that I can only get under a certain price for, I'm just going to throw it away because it doesn't serve a purpose for me at that point. But like I said, there are a lot of people like big name YouTubers who I won't name who tell people to sell the cheap shit while at the same time they're not doing it themselves. I'm not going to lie to people and tell them to do something that I don't do. Because to me, my time is worth more than wasting my, time to create a listing for a $10 item. I've never been the type to want to make minimum wage or whatever. That does not interest me. It never has. I like to make a certain amount of money to make it worth my time. If it's not worth my time, I don't do it. And that's the problem a lot of people have too, where they buy a bunch of cheap shit and they don't value their time. They would rather sell, a ton of cheap crap that they're not really making any money on, especially if they're paying. Like this one video I watched, this guy he was paying, I think it was like $7 or $8 for the shirts, turn around selling them for $15. I don't see how that's a profit. That's not a profit to me. That's stupidity and the really fucked up mindset to where you're not valuing your time and you're not actually understanding how to make a profit. If you're going to pay $7 or $8 and only sell it for $15, it's not worth getting. That's not even doubling your money, especially when you're paying the fees on top of that. I don't know. There's just some people who don't understand reselling.